Hey everybody, Dr. Dave Marquis here, and I wanted to talk to you about one of the organs that oftentimes is considered extra parts that gets removed that's not actually an extra part, and what you might want to know if you've had yours removed or if you're being suggested to have it removed, and that's your gallbladder. So the gallbladder is a small sac-like organ that's attached to your liver, and its job literally is kind of a wallet, if you will, or a distribution tool for bile that the liver makes. And bile it's kind of like it sounds. It's really a nasty substance if you ever tasted it, because if you've actually vomited, you'll oftentimes get a little taste of acid and bile. But it serves a really, really important purpose. It helps us to break down our body fats and our dietary fats and all of our fat-soluble nutrients. So think about all the importance of our fat-soluble nutrients: vitamin A, E, D, K, your fish oils, so your EPA, DPA, DHA, your linoleic acid, your choline, your inositol. All of these things need to have exposure to bile to be absorbed appropriately and prepared so that as those nutrients are actually moving through the GI tract, the bacteria can then step in and do their job of sorting it out and pulling it in as needed and drawing those nutrients into the body and making them bioavailable. One of the things that I'll commonly tell people is that if you don't have adequate bile, you're actually going to have a real hard time managing your own body weight. And many people don't think about the liver and gallbladder relative to weight management, but it's a key player. It's also a key player in terms of our sleep cycle. This gallbladder serves a huge purpose, and I do acknowledge that sometimes it does get sick, and there are conditions where it does need to be removed, but that's the exception, not the rule. I want you to think about it kind of like a wallet. So like I was surfing one time and somebody broke into my car and they stole my wallet. And I came back to the car and I realized, oh my gosh, why in the heck did I bring my wallet to the beach? Well, that aside, I had to live for a period of time without my wallet. And so I didn't have my credit cards, I didn't have my driver's license, and I would just have to grab some cash and I'd stick it into my pockets. And when I'd go into the store, I'd be searching through my pockets to get my money so that I could pay for whatever I was getting. Sometimes I thought I had it in my right pocket, sometimes I thought I had it in my left pocket, in my back pocket, in my jacket, and it really delayed the transaction. And it kind of made me a little bit frustrated. This is you without a gallbladder. Your body still can make bile, it can still distribute it, but it's going to be willy-nilly. It's not going to be an efficient distribution process, because your liver's always going to make that. But sometimes you might want to have a salmon salad with olive oil on it. That might be a little bit more fat than your body is accustomed to consuming in a given setting. If you don't have a wallet full of bile to emulsify those fats, that fat might sit heavy on you. You might get a little bit nauseated because you're not able to break it down well. Anytime you've felt that nauseated or heavy feeling, that's a good indicator that your liver and gallbladder aren't stepping up to the plate to distribute the appropriate amount of bile to allow for you to break those fats down and digest them. Think of that wallet as something that you want to make sure that it's functional. And so there's certain things that people can do to help their gallbladder function. And oftentimes people will hear about gallbladder cleanses where they're drinking a volume of olive oil and lemon juice. And yes, that does cause the gallbladder to contract. If you have things stuck inside the bile duct or in the gallbladder that are small enough that they can be expressed, yes, it will flush out. But by and large, the things that you see come out into that bowl aren't gallstones. It's actually little soap that you made by drinking a volume of olive oil and lemon juice. And it did have an effect on the gallbladder, but sometimes it's not the desired effect. So I'm not a strong advocate for doing these volume flushes. There are things that I have found to be helpful that aren't so dramatic, that help the gallbladder to demineralize. So if you're making gallstones and that little sac is starting to get full, there are things that you can consume on a regular basis that help to demineralize and make the gallbladder more functional. In our notes section, I'll list some of those products so that you can be aware of how to work on it in that fashion. A lot of it has to do with body pH. So one thing that I want you to think about is think of your digestive tract kind of like a car wash. I consume the food, that's like the car entering into that car wash. The first rinse or spray cycle is going to be when I get to the stomach and my body's going to secrete a little bit of hydrochloric acid. Many of us don't do that, particularly when we get into midlife. Our acid production has diminished quite a bit. If you don't have adequate acid being released in the stomach, that's like the first part of the car wash. It's supposed to trigger the liver and the gallbladder to do their job. So as acid leaks down and it triggers the gallbladder to dump a little bit of bile, it makes this new little juice called chyme. That chyme then is kind of like the deep wash. That's the heavier scrub as you're going through that car wash. And then that's supposed to trigger the pancreas to dump its enzymes, which is kind of like the final rinse in a car wash. That allows for all the things that you consume to be small enough and broken down far enough so that as it's trickling through the intestines now, all of the bacteria that are there, hopefully you have beneficial bacteria, start to extract the micronutrients and draw it in so that you can turn it into energy or repair tools for you. You've got this car wash and you got this wallet that need to work together. If you don't have appropriate pH to start that process with, then you might not have the appropriate trickle down, or that car wash might not be as efficient as you would hope. I like people to know about acid, the use of bile and bile salts, and also some of the precursors that people can use dietarily and nutritionally to support the function of the liver and the gallbladder, and all that'll be in the notes section. We need our gallbladder, just like we need all the parts that we came to planet Earth with. If you can keep yours, I encourage you to. If it's so sick that it's causing life and death issues, that's a whole different conversation. And as I said, that is the exception, not the rule. And that means that your train derailed a long time ago. And yeah, you might need to take that out. And for those folks, I would tell you, you always need bile from that day forward. If that thing is removed, if your surgeon didn't tell you to start using bile when you consume dietary fats, avocados, coconut, olive oil, seafood, anything that has fat in it, you need bile. Just plan on taking that as a dietary support to utilize so that you can efficiently have your car wash function and get your nutrition. I hope that's helpful, and I hope that it's enlightening and motivating to take the right steps to protect the organ that you have. And if you lost it, hopefully you have some information there that'll allow you to function more appropriately and achieve your ideal self. Be well.